What's going on, C2W fam? I am on another press ride. This time we're reviewing a tire in a different place. We are in Austria, 1,200 miles away from Spain this time, and we're here with Continental reviewing a Supermoto tire, the SM2, the ContiAttack SM2. We've got planned track time and over 120 kilometers of riding through the mountains. I can't wait to ride. And of course, since we're reviewing a Supermoto tire, what good would it be if we weren't on Supermotos? Check it out. Hey everybody, it's Dooley, and I'm back from Austria. Had a little bit of a problem this time coming around. The microphone decided to not work, so I'm here in the garage and we're filming this after the fact. Austria was beautiful. What a great time. Let me give you some backstory into this ride and what I've been riding in the past. So a lot of what I've been riding is my R1, I've had an R6, so I've had like that super sport experience. Obviously a lot of people know me from mini bike racing, so I had a Grom and I raced that, so a lot of mini bikes. And then I had an MT10 and a couple other nakeds and an FZ1 as well. So that's kind of my backstory of bikes that I've ridden. However, this is my first time riding on a Supermoto, so it's a bit of a different experience. What I could closely equate it to was being on like a mini on the Grom again, so it felt really familiar in that aspect. And we're there filming for this ContiAttack SM2, which SM stands for Supermoto, but it not only just goes to the Supermoto. What Continental is trying to do with that is they're trying to put in the tire into the smaller wheel bikes. So what they were looking at was putting these in the 500s and the 300s, you know, 450. So going into what kind of tire is this? What kind of construction of tire is this? We've got a dual compound tire here. It's an aggressive hypersport tire. There's a lot of chemicals that the Continental folks talked about. One of the really big things that they pulled into this motorcycle tire that derives from their car technology and their bicycle technology is a compound called black chili. And that is a very special compound to them. It is also very expensive according to Continental, and they brought it to you. So it's a 2 compound tire. We're looking at a super solid backbone in the center, and then you're looking at these softer compounds near, you know, the edges and the sidewall. What they really designed this tire for was max grip, max life expectancy, and max grip in the wet. And especially, you know, if you're going to be riding around in dry time, you're going to be totally fine. So brand new tires off the rip. Nobody had used these tires before us. Nobody had done anything to these tires. We took these, went to the track immediately. Like immediately, you rode from the hotel to the track, and like half a lap, I like had grip instantly. And the biggest thing that something that they really talked about was you can get grip so fast, it's like it's a worn in tire already. So they have this thing called traction skin. It's patented by them. So they laser engrave these molds, and they use almost no release agents, if any at all. Really cool fact that I thought you guys might enjoy. It's a bit of tire nerd science. So all this cool nerdy science stuff about what this tire is constructed of and what does this all really mean to me? Well, I'll tell you how it feels. And we're gonna find out throughout the day how that tire's really lasted. So wrapping up all this, you know, nerdy science compound stuff, how does this tire really feel to me? Well, I can tell you this. the tire heats up really fast. Took me half a lap to really get traction, if half a lap. And then the sidewalls were soft. I felt like I had grip everywhere. I didn't feel any slipping at all at any point. The guy said that they had some chatter under the front tire under heavy braking, but even then I didn't feel that. So they must have been doing maybe a stoppie at that point, because yeah, I put on the brakes pretty decently, I feel like. So throughout the entire ride, even in the mountains, I did not feel like these tires were getting greasy or slipping at any point. Even when going through some water spots through the mountains, I did not feel like I lost grip or started to slip out on me. It was really impressive, to be honest. Yeah, I even went through some tar snakes and over some sewer caps, and honestly, it didn't feel like it had touched any different kind of material. It still felt like it was on the regular pavement, and we just kept going. So we're in the Austrian Alps, and we're not that far from Salzburg, and we're at this beautiful track called this. If I try and pronounce the name, I'm going to very much so butcher that name, but it is a tire test track. It is not a regular, like a racetrack that you would think where it would have race asphalt. It actually has normal asphalt that you would find on the road anywhere, and the reason behind that is so they can really test the tire out on what it would be like in the real world, what you would experience. So I'm at this test track, right? And I'm on a new bike that's not mine, and on a new tire that I'm not familiar with, and I'm about to go on track, and I'm kind of hesitant to really push it. And you know, these guys have said, yeah, you know, it shouldn't have to wear in like a new tire, but you know, I'm kind of hesitant because, you know, it's still a new tire. I'm going to take it easy and see how these first session goes. Got about half a lap in, and homie just took off. He did his research. He was actually the instructor. He knew the tire very well, and he just took off. So we're on that back half where it goes into a switchback. And honestly, after that point, I knew that this tire was just gonna hook. So I was like, well, if he's doing it, so can I. This tire did hook. It did not let down at all. It stayed true, which was really impressive. You know, you could feel how when you're upright, you could feel how that center band was, you know, a much stronger surface and a much harder surface compared to when you were, you know, full right lean on the bike, you know, trying to drag knee or drag elbow, whatever you want to do on a supermoto. It was really reliable. I got on the gas mid corner just to see if it would maybe give me some slip and give me some shake, but honestly, it just hooked. That flex that they talked about in the tire and the sidewall really became a good advantage for being out on the track. So we are leaving the track and we're headed to lunch just down the street. It's not very far. It's maybe like a mile or so. Roughly 80 degrees out, and it's honestly a beautiful day. There's no clouds in the sky that we needed to worry about. We were set up for good weather. I mean, we're in the Alps. How can you not like riding here? If you see this view, it's 10 times the size of what it feels like in person. You feel like a tiny ant under these giant mountains, and the view is spectacular. I mean, one of the best rides, the best ride I've been on thus far. From a view perspective, it's absolutely insane. So we're riding around in a country that I've not been to. It's my first time. I don't want to break any laws, and I don't want to pass where I can't pass. But this asphalt is similar to home. It actually feels a little bit better and smoother than home. At home, it feels like it's very, rough. Here, it felt a little bit smoother. It looked smoother, but you still had all the grip. You'll see me in like parts where people pass cars like it's nothing and it's normal, and it is. Everyone passes on a motorcycle pretty quickly. So the tire feels really good throughout the day. Again, no grease feeling, no slippery feeling. We're going through these construction zones here and there. And even then, these construction guys, I feel like, have it really cleaned up nicely. The roads still make sense. Even though it looks like there's stuff all over the ground, it doesn't matter. We roll over it. The tire feels fine. There's no problem. So this is the third country that I've actually ridden in this year. And I'm an American. I don't know kilometers an hour. I don't know speed in another place. How am I going to get around? Do they drive on the opposite side of the road? What's going on here? But no. And here, let me tell you, in Austria and Spain, they ride on the right side of the road, and you don't have to worry about that. The signage too, I mean, is very well written out, placed. They tell you when you should have your lights on. They tell you, hey, you shouldn't pass here. It's the same stuff that we see, just in a different way, different colors. So as an American riding in another country that I've never been to, I felt totally fine. You should feel fine as well. And so we're making our way back down towards the hotel for the end of the day to finally wrap things up, go get some dinner, and finally relax. Because, you know, we've obviously been ripping on this tire all day long. How is this tire gonna hold up? So I'll tell you my thoughts and opinions on how this tire really felt in my view, and I'll tell you the truth. The truth is, this tire feels super sticky. It doesn't get super hot. I put my hand on the tire after the first track session and the second track session, and it didn't feel like it was a 200 and some odd degree tire. And that's part of the technology that Continental put into this tire, is where it keeps it, you know, relatively cool, where it's not going to get overly hot. And Danny told me that you should see maybe like 180 degrees. So that's probably why I didn't feel like the tire was overly hot, but I still had all the grip that I wanted. Throughout the track time, I didn't have any issues slipping. I didn't feel like the tire was going to give out. It held on. It held on in a turn. It held on into the mountains too, and I went through some questionable spots where the road up the mountain was wet on one side, and I dragged the tire through it intentionally just to see if it would slip out under gas. It honestly, it held on, and it did its job like they told us that it would. So if you're looking for a Supermoto tire or a smaller CC bike tire, you should definitely check out the ContiAttack SM2. It is a fantastic tire and rips on the mountain and the test track. So we're gonna time travel right now to me, and I'll be showing you the wear of the tire after the entire day of test track and mountains. Check it out. C2W fam, wow, Austria is beautiful. It is fantastic. These mountain roads and the track time that we got to do and got to play around with on these two bikes behind me. This Continental ContiAttack SM2 has been a very impressive ride. This tire is honestly one of the more impressive things that I've ridden on. The way that it grips up is unlike any other tire that I've ridden. It doesn't get overly hot. It doesn't get greasy. It took maybe half a lap to warm up, and it was warm throughout the entire day. Didn't feel any slip on my end. Some of the guys had said that they felt a little bit of chatter from the front end on the front when they were braking, but that could be down to some suspension problems, tire pressures, who knows what it really is. I encourage you guys to check them out, the ContiAttack SM2, and check out the wear on these tires. This is after being ridden all day on a track. I really think Continental has something going on here, and they might have cracked the code on that longevity of this tire. Check them out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me, C2W fam. It's been an epic ride. Leave a comment down below if you want to see more content like this. Outro crew, This is my first time on a Supermoto. Wow, it feels just like a Mini with power. Have you ridden on something like this? Have you ridden a 701 or an SMC? Which one would you take? SMC 690 or a 701 from Husqvarna? Let me know. See ya.